Hi. Well, we're at the end of week one, and now we're about to embrace some of the activities for week two. I hope by now that you've come to terms with the site basically for these workshops. Um, this is going to appear in the announcement section, which is really just for me to give you information about the coming week and to give you feedback on the previous week. In addition to that, there are two other important places that you should visit. If you have questions that you want answered about CAS, then they go in the burning questions. Matthew came up with 3 really good questions last week, which I've put in there, which I think you all ought to try and respond to, because it's really about how CAS is run in your school. And I think you will be the best people to answer that rather than me trying to answer it from my experience. Then the other thing which is in there is called sharing resources. And I've put a couple of articles about CAS in there. And I've also put some examples of handbooks. Now, one thing to be careful about here is that the handbooks need to be custom made for your school. And so they're really just to give you an idea of the structure of them and what you could include in them. What you decide to do for your own school is another thing. Okay, so let's move on and have a look at this first week. Well, one of the things I want to comment on is about the sort of group discussions there were, which were on areas like teaching and learning, assessment, the written curriculum and so on. Now, there was some really good discussions within the groups, and that's the purpose of the group discussions being there, for you to feed off each other a little bit in terms of comments on that. So I'd like to thank everybody that really contributed a great deal to that. There were 3 issues that came up as we looked across the various topics. One of them, which was clear, which isn't so heavily related to CAS, was really about the issue of plagiarism in schools. And I commented that there was really a need to develop an academic honesty policy throughout the school. The IB has a very strict honesty policy, particularly on plagiarism, and is getting much better at actually detecting plagiarism in their assessments. And if the students caught plagiarising work, then that's more or less the end of their diploma. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing which came up was, how do we deal with the issue of international mindedness? And clearly one of the avenues that you can help to develop international mindedness is through contact with the outside community and organising things like Model United Nations. You need to truly try and go beyond the traditional things like international food fairs and flag days, that sort of thing. Try and go in a little more depth. And the last thing which came up, which I think is important to mention, is about assessment. CAS has no formal assessment in this sense. There's no exam there, there's no grade for it. So it means that all the assessment we're doing is really formative assessment and looking at the sort of feedback we need to give students. Then another thing which came up, which was really important, was looking at the how, what and why of CAS in the school. And this is really to give you an indication, of your own understanding and knowledge of CAS. And a few basic things. Well, first of all, it's really important the school itself supports CAS. And that means they provide money for it, and it also means they provide time for the coordinator and contact time for the coordinator with students. There was one major misunderstanding in there about the CAS project, and that is that several of you put down that CAS projects have to be done every month. That's not right. the CAS project has to be done once, a minimum once in the entire CAS program, and the expectation is there that the project lasts a minimum of a month. So that was a little bit of a confusion. The last point I'd make about that is that the coordinator is absolutely key to the CAS program in the school. And as Marianne, I think it was, who said that the CAS coordinator needs to walk the talk. In other words, to be a good example about CAS to the students. And it's really a position for someone with some passion about what they're doing. Okay, moving on to the second week. This is really much more about a key question you're going to face as a CAS coordinator. What is CAS? It starts off by looking at the links between the learning outcomes and the learner profile at ATLs. Then we look at some examples of evidence of the learning outcomes. And a couple of key points now. There is a grading exercise in there for you to plan a CAS experience. Now, I want to stress something to you now, so we're very clear about this. I have no intention of grading your work. We have a huge difference in language abilities in this group, and I feel that for that reason alone, it would be unfair to grade people's contributions there. So I won't be doing that. All I'll be doing is commenting on the how you've planned the CAS experience. Now, as many of you have discovered, there is a quiz. This quiz is not a pass or fail. I repeat, that is not a pass or fail for the course. It is to make you think about what is CAS, to make you think carefully about your own criteria. And what is far more important to me than whether you've got it all right or not is what your the last part of the week, which is a forum for discussing what a CAS experience is. And I want you to be clear in the forum what your criteria are for deciding whether something's CAS or not. And that's a key issue for me. You must be clear about what you think CAS should be. Now, that's what I'll be looking for to read, rather than a long discussion about whether you agreed with bird watching as a CAS activity or not. That's not the point. The point is to really make you think about your own criteria for deciding whether CAS is whether something, a proposal a kid has, is CAS or not. Okay, now I'm really looking forward to your posts. Next week starts tomorrow on Wednesday and finishes on a week from today on the 26th of March. So look forward to what you've got to write for me and some comments that you have. It's been lovely talking to you. Oh, one last thing is that I will organise next Monday a webinar, and I'll give you more details of that as the week goes on. So it's goodbye now from a beautiful spring morning in Switzerland, and I hope wherever you are that life's been kind to you at the moment. Take care. Bye-bye.